The knock came just after midnight. Not loud, not desperate, just tired. Caleb's heart froze inside his small wooden ranch house, one hand resting on the revolver at his belt, the other still gripping a tin cup of cold coffee. Out here, in the wild stretch beyond Red Hollow, no one knocked on doors after dark unless trouble was riding close behind them. The wind howled across the plains, rattling the shutters like bones. His horse shifted nervously outside. Caleb's black hat cast a shadow over his eyes as he stepped closer to the door, listening. Another knock. Slower this time. Careful. As if whoever stood outside was afraid the door might never open again. Caleb swallowed. He hadn't opened his door to a woman in 3 years. Not since he buried the only one he ever loved. He reached for the lantern, lifted it high, and opened the door. A woman stood there, drenched from rain and dust, her hair loose around her shoulders, her dress torn at the hem. Her eyes met his, not with fear, not with demand, but with something far heavier. Hope. Then her knees buckled, and she collapsed into his arms. Caleb carried her inside without a word. She was lighter than she looked, all sharp bones and exhaustion, like life had been slowly draining out of her for miles. He laid her on the narrow bed near the fireplace, stoked the dying embers, and poured water into a chipped bowl. He told himself he was only doing what any rancher would do. Nothing more. Nothing dangerous. But as he wiped the dust from her face, his hand trembled. She was young, maybe late 20s, but there was an old sadness carved into her expression. Her lips were cracked. Her hands bore small scars, the kind that came from work, not luxury. She stirred. "Please," she whispered, "don't send me back." Caleb stiffened. "Back where?" he asked quietly. Her eyes fluttered open, dark, alert, afraid. She tried to sit up, panic flashing across her face. "I didn't steal anything. I swear. I just needed a door. One door." Caleb raised his hand slowly. "Easy. You're safe here." The words felt strange in his mouth. Safe. It was a promise he hadn't made to anyone in a long time. She studied him, the tall frame, the worn coat, the black cowboy hat never leaving his head, even indoors. His face was rough, marked by sun and years of silence. But his eyes weren't cruel. She relaxed just a little. "My name's Eliza," she said. "I won't be trouble. I'll leave by morning." Caleb turned back to the fire. "Storm says otherwise." Thunder rolled in the distance, like the land itself disagreeing. Silence filled the room. Heavy, uncomfortable. Finally, Caleb spoke. "You running from someone?" Eliza hesitated, then nodded once. "Then you can stay," he said. "No questions tonight." She looked at him as if she didn't quite believe he was real. "You don't even know my story." Caleb's jaw tightened. "I know enough," he said. "People don't knock like that unless they've run out of places to go." A rancher who loved once. Eliza slept for hours. Caleb didn't. He sat at the table, hat still on, staring into the fire while memories he kept buried clawed their way back to the surface. Anna, his wife. Her laugh. Her patience. The way she used to rest her head against his chest after long days. She died in childbirth, along with the baby they never named. Caleb had promised himself something that day, kneeling in the dirt beside 2 graves. Never again. Love took too much. Love left you empty. Love buried you alive. When Eliza stirred again, the sky was turning pale. She woke slowly, confused, then alert. Her eyes went straight to him. "You stayed," she said softly. "So did you," Caleb replied. She sat up, pulling the blanket tighter around her. "I can work, clean, cook. I'm not helpless." "I didn't say you were." She studied him again. "Why did you help me?" Caleb stood. "Because it was the right thing." "That's not the real reason." He paused. "The real reason," he said quietly, "is none of my business." Eliza smiled faintly. For the first time since she'd arrived, something warm flickered between them. Days turned to something else. Eliza stayed longer than one night. Then another. She helped with the horses, cooked meals that tasted like memory, and fixed torn clothes with careful hands. She never asked about Caleb's past, never crossed lines. She respected his silence. And somehow, that made it harder. At night, they sat on opposite sides of the fire, listening to the wind. Sometimes she talked about places she'd seen, about her mother, about learning to survive when the world stopped being kind. She never spoke about the man she was running from. Caleb never asked. Slowly, dangerously, the ranch didn't feel so empty anymore. One evening, as the sun bled red across the plains, Eliza stood beside him at the fence. "You don't smile much," she said. "Smiling doesn't fix fences." She laughed, soft, genuine. The sound hit him harder than any bullet ever had. That night, Caleb dreamed of Anna. But for the first time, her face faded into someone else's. And that terrified him. Trouble arrived on horseback. Caleb saw the dust first. 3 riders, hard men, guns visible, purpose in their posture. Eliza saw them too. Her color drained instantly. "They found me," she whispered. Caleb's body moved before his mind did. He stepped in front of her. "You stay inside. They'll kill you." Caleb adjusted his hat, eyes locked on the riders. "They'll try." The men reined in near the fence. One of them smiled, slow and ugly. "We're looking for a woman," he said. "Belongs to us." Eliza's hand trembled behind Caleb's back. "She doesn't belong to anyone," Caleb said evenly. The man chuckled. "Careful, rancher. Don't die for something you don't understand." Caleb didn't raise his voice. "Last chance. Right away." The guns came out. The fight was fast, loud, final. When the dust settled, 2 men were down. The third fled. Caleb leaned against the fence, blood soaking his sleeve. Eliza ran to him, tears streaming. "You promised you wouldn't die." "I promised nothing," he said, collapsing. The truth at last. She cleaned his wound that night, hands shaking. "You could have left," she whispered. "You owed me nothing." Caleb looked at her, really looked at her. "I owed myself," he said. She broke then, told him everything. About the man she married young. About the violence. About the escape. About losing herself piece by piece. Caleb listened, didn't interrupt. When she finished, she waited for judgment. It never came. Instead, Caleb reached for her hand. "You knocked on my door," he said. "I think. I was waiting for that." She leaned into him, crying quietly against his chest. This time he held her, and didn't let go. A promise broken and rebuilt. Weeks passed. The ranch healed. So did they. One morning, Eliza stood at the door with her bag packed. "I don't want to be a shadow in your life," she said. "If I stay, it has to mean something." Caleb walked to her, removed his hat, and held it to his chest. "I promised never to love again," he said. She nodded, bracing herself. "I was wrong." He took her face in his hands, rough thumbs brushing away tears. "If you stay," he said, "it won't be because you knocked." She whispered, "Then why?" "Because you chose to." She stayed.